forever, forever. I wanna love you. Will you let me love you forever, forever and a day, 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 day.
Hello. Hey, Raydella.
You guys, welcome to 90 Days of Melanated Way. I'm Linda. That's April. We are here back. We're catching up. We're trying to run and catch up on all things 90 Day Fiance season 11. We are covering episode 6, Love Me or Leave Me. One of the things I saw, Abby, one day I'll get used to this. Okay, one thing that I saw yesterday was like I was watching the replay and I was posting shorts. Is I like move around a lot when I talk. I move around a lot.
You do. That's good. You're
And
animated.
My lips. I'm doing a lot of things, so I'm going to try to like control my behavior today.
I think it's okay if you move around.
I move around a lot. Like I look up. And I have so many tells, like the tell when I'm looking up and I pause, it's like I'm catching my brain before I say something crazy. And then I adjust. Like all of those things. It's just funny to watch because like that's wild. Season 11, episode 6, Love Me or Leave Me. What were your overall thoughts?
I feel like we're watching real relationships again. Hola, Christina. You know, like the relationship breakdowns that we're seeing, I think are very real, not the fake manufactured ones. So I appreciate it. That said, so many people are so clearly wrong in the things that they're doing.
You want to give an example?
For example, why is your boy Greg holding on to this pipe dream of opening a bakery?
Why did you have to start with Greg? Because he's the most problematic, and I have so many things that I'm just not a fan. I'm not a fan of him.
And as much as I love Mark and Mina's relationship, Mark is displaying absolutely no backbone. So I feel like these are very real situations.
Yeah.
But they're also just stupid.
Agreed. So we're going to start with Shekinah and Sarper. Sarper's in LA now, living in North Hollywood with Shekinah in her small little 0x0 bedroom. And one of the things that I think is super hilarious, and if you guys have traveled to anywhere Euro, you'll know that bidets are a big deal, like a really big deal, like a big deal. If you have a bidet, then that's that. And to the point where most people have not had a bidet. You know what I mean? Abby?
I do. Yeah, I do. It's not very common here.
Yeah, it's not common at all, but it's super common everywhere else in the world. And so when Sarper found out there was no bidet, there was just like a toilet and a bathtub and shower. He was like, what's happening here? And I will have to admit that bathroom is super small, Abby. It was super small.
That was a very small bathroom.
Yeah.
The whole bathroom conversation was so funny to me because, of course, he's used to having a bidet. That's going to be very common there. But at the same time, like the first time that I went to a country that had a Turkish toilet, I was like, what is this? I had never seen that before in my life. But at the same time, you know what I'm saying? Like they have this very sophisticated method of cleaning yourself, but also in a lot of public spaces, even some nice restaurants and stuff, it's a Turkish toilet, which if you are unfamiliar like I was a few years ago, is just a hole in the ground.
I mean, you know, lives, and we are human, and whatever, by any means necessary. That's what I'll say. Hey, 1,000 Pieces. Hey, Christina. Hey, y'all. One of the things I did love that Sarper said was, he's like, I don't understand the no bidet thing. You know, fire created, wheel created, internet created, bidet. Those are the most important things.
Right.
And he's not wrong.
He's not wrong. I'm like, he's got to add that bit to his comedy show. That was
He
pretty
really
funny.
does. Sarper, I'm still not sure what happened, but like he's really funny and I like him now. I really did not like him in the beginning. So yeah.
He could just walk. Like, he could make a series of Shekinah has a client where he's just walking around outside making random observations on TikTok. I would watch that.
100%. 100%. And he has this exercise thing that he does in one of the studios in North Hollywood, and I can't remember what it's called, but it's basically like exercise and laugh or whatever. So he combines his fitness and his comedy skits, and apparently it's really, really great. I haven't been. I should try to go, but
yeah, check it out for us.
Yeah, and film it. That would be great. Get like our producer to come down. Yeah, we'll see. Anyway, so he's in this small apartment. He calls Shekinah a dictator. He thinks there are too many rules for this very small apartment. He thinks there are red flags because she didn't give him any heads up. And I agree with him because if I was leaving a whole country to be with someone, which I have done, I need to know where I'm staying, what that looks like, what my life is going to look like. I'm going to need a little bit of more information. And she gave him none. What are your thoughts on that?
She said there was a lot of things going on and she preferred to wait until he arrived to let him know. I vehemently disagree with that. You take people's consent away from them when you don't give them all the information up front. So regardless of the fact that it was tumultuous, that he was leaving Turkey and his family had some issues, not issues, but they had some concerns about him leaving and they were all sad. There should have been, hey, there's some things I need to tell you about the apartment when you come to the US. Let me know when's a good time to talk about that.
Plus, you're adding 2 dogs. So 2 grown adults and 2 dogs in this 0x0 space. Yeah, that's a conversation that needs to be had for sure.
And especially you can't cook in because we know that fitness and nutrition is so important to him.
That's right. How are you setting up your fiance for success? You're not. It's selfish. So like Abby just said, the living space upstairs is just like a bed and a bathroom. And then downstairs is where she does her business, right? Her studio, where she does all her like skincare and all of that stuff. She did buy him a gift, this back scratcher, which I thought was interesting because she was trying to explain how that was her proof of love for him. And he was explaining, well, the longer my hair is on my back is the proof of love for you. And I just thought that was super weird, all of it.
I mean, I understood what they were saying. And if you're not a person who enjoys plucking your partner, I guess it doesn't make any sense. Like, I love to give my partner a facial and like pop their pimples for them and do a mask and all that stuff. And I would do upper back too. But if you're not somebody who does that, then of course what Sarper's saying does not make any sense.
No, I listen, I don't like a hairy back. So I'm big on like, let me just shave this back right here. Let me just do all of this. I'm all about that. And I do think that it brings you closer because it's like what you like and what the person likes and all the things. However, I do think like, I don't know, like you got him a back scratcher.
He thinks anything that he misses out on doing with another woman is a demonstration of love to Shekinah.
Is he wrong for thinking that?
I think it's a weird way to think about it because you could just do some things for yourself. You could hire a professional
Abby,
for some things.
Okay, Abby, okay. We already know your thoughts on men right now. Back to the apartment, still an issue because Sarper thinks that there are too many rules and the apartment is too small. So that's where we are. He has his first night there. One of the things that I realized that is not just an African thing, I think it's an immigrant thing because we see it with Sarper, we see it with Nina, we see it with, who else was it? Leah and Sean, and we see it with Yeah. Mark and Mina, Aaliyah and Sean, and Sarper and Shekinah is that whole everything that I've ever said, you guys, that you traveled all day, you're in your outside clothes, don't belong on your bed. Shekinah's the first to take a shower, that she like requests that Sarper take a shower before they get in the bed. And I was like, see, I can relate to this. That also that makes super sense to me. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
You guys, we've had for years now, we've had the conversation. I know Rodell is in the live chat right now, so she knows what I'm talking about. But like, your outside shoes don't belong inside. Your outside clothes don't belong in your bed. You've been traveling all day. Like, I get some of y'all go to hotels and then just plop on your dirty ass suitcases on the bed and your clothes and you get it.
Yeah, that's all gross.
It's all gross. And Sarper and Shekinah are not like that. Shekinah went first. Sarper took his shower. They got in the bed, and I was like, "Those are my peoples." So the next day, Sarper has a fantasy that he's had for a long time. He wants to, quote, Baywatch it. So he wants them to be Baywatch babes. He wants to go to the beach. He has a red, not bikini, but red bathing suit for Shekinah, and he has red shorts for himself. And he gets to the beach. He's like, "Beaches of LA, are you ready for Sarper?"
This is the most adorable thing.
It was. And they did a whole like vignette, and they're like Sarper Hasselhoff. They had him running on the beach. They had him pick up Shekinah and bring her to the beach towel. I loved everything about it. It was so adorable. It was so him. And he spoke about his past and growing up and how he started working out because of it, how when he was young, he was not the hot guy. He was chubby. He was bullied. But watching this American show about like fitness and beaches and bodies and bathing suits, that encouraged him to start working out. And that's how he is the person he is today. And I just thought that was a really great story to share.
Yeah, it was a good background
yeah.
for him.
Yeah, right? Because we all have our little thing that has inspired us.
Mm-hmm.
Right? What was your inspiration, Abby?
Oh my gosh, I have so many. I've told you guys so many stories. I don't know if I told you I was in special education as a kid.
I don't know if you have,
No.
but tell us again if you have.
Yeah, so I was in special ed all the way up to 4th grade. And then my 4th grade teacher, she put me in a spelling bee. I didn't talk. You would not believe that to meet me now, but I was largely nonverbal. And she put me in a spelling bee because she didn't really believe I needed to be in special classes. And she moved my desk beside her desk and made me study the spelling words like every single day. So I did the spelling bee. I whispered my way through it and actually won the spelling bee. And it was one of the most exciting things to ever happen because I didn't look up through the whole spelling bee, but when I spelled the last word, actually they gave the last word to the other kid before me. And I knew that he didn't know how to spell it because he started it wrong. And so I was like, yeah, I'm going to get a turn to spell it. The word was Avarice. And he started with AB. And I was like, oh, he's whatever he says after this, he's done. He's cooked. It's me. It's all me. So I get up there and I spell the word, and the entire cafeteria of kids just ripped into applause. And my sister was beating on her table like this. And it was so exciting. And I really think that my love of speaking in front of an audience started that day. Sorry for the long story.
No, I love it. Thank you for sharing. It's a great story. It's a great story. You guys in your live chat, if you have something that inspired you as a child to do what you do, let us know. I would love to hear your story. If you're watching the replay, definitely let us know as well. So yeah, Sarper wants to explore LA. He knows that he can't be in the house, he can't cook, all of this stuff. So he loves the beach, wants to be at the beach. But Shekinah is insecure. She has no trust in him. So she wants him to stay close to home and explore areas in North Hollywood only. Which, you guys, I do think that it goes back to him talking about how controlling she is and the rules that she has. I know that they've had some dodgy stuff in the past, but as we've talked about last episode and many times before, if you're going to forgive someone for their infidelities, then you literally have to forgive them and move on. You can't keep holding on to that past and that trauma and bringing it into your future relationship.
Yeah. And they've kind of switched roles a little bit, which is so funny because remember how he wanted to like pick her clothes and pick what she was eating at the tell-all or like give her instructions. Like they've kind of switched roles where she's now become the more controlling one.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Moving on to Mark, Mina, Jordan, and Maria. Mark and Mina have 65 days to wed. And Jordan is Jordaning, and she just finished her conversation with Mina. It did not go well.
Mm-hmm.
So she storms over and wants to talk to her dad separately. And one of the things, again, that showed her true colors to me, Abby, was when Mark was like, hey, to her boyfriend, Greg, can you watch Maria? And then Jordan's like, Mina can watch Maria. And I was like, oh, so again, you're taking it out on this small toddler, all the hatred that you have for your dad's fiance, as well as your half-sister.
That was so ridiculous because who doesn't want to see their partner and how they interact with a child?
That's it.
She could have let Gabe just watch the baby for a little while. And Jordan, how do you not realize that what you just said, the accusations that you just made, would make Mina reasonably uncomfortable? Like, although I blame Mark mostly in this whole kerfuffle, I can't tell somebody to their face, I don't trust you, I think you're using my dad, and then expect them to smile in my face at their wedding.
That, and I also think too that she is selfish and she's thinking about herself, and she doesn't want, because her biggest thing is that Mina wants to have another child and she doesn't want her dad to have another child with her. And I just think it's selfish. Like, who are you to say what your dad can and cannot do? As well as the fact that you're treating Maria terribly. Like,
Right.
she doesn't exist. And she's
Right.
a baby.
She's
And there are going to be residual effects by the way you treat this child. And she's a child and you're an adult. And you want to have kids of your own. Like, would you want someone else to treat your children the way you're treating your half-sister? It's quite terrible.
Yeah. So I have a question. Am I missing something? Because she keeps on emphasizing that there's this grand age difference between them, and they're 35 and 53. That's not that grand to me. Or am I missing something?
I feel like, because I think that Jordan's like 27, 28. So Mina's like 35. So that's what she's talking about between her and Jordan and Mina. The age difference is what she's talking about between the two of them. But I mean, between Mina and Mark, it's really not that. I mean,
it's not that significant. We've seen some incredibly ridiculous age gaps on this show. This one, I'm feeling like it's not even really that much of a gap.
Facts. Side note, if you guys are not following me on Instagram, you guys are missing out on all the tea. The comment section has been lit all day. It actually took a little bit of my time today. But one of the things that I'm like so like excited about, Abby, is that one of my followers is Chrissy Teigen. She's, if you guys know, she's a huge 90 Day Fiance fan. And last week I posted like a Way Back Wednesday or Throwback Thursday, something like that. And it was Mark in his 80s, Glory. And she commented, she was like, OMG. And then I was like, yeah, Mark was like a 80s hottie 2x4. So I said something like that. And then Mark commented and said, is this a good thing or a bad thing? Right? And I laughed because, you know, I'm not as old as them, but I just think it was fun.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're missing out, you guys make sure you're following me because lots of stuff happens. Some breaking news left, right, and center. You
Mhm.
know, I just posted about Maria and what's this bad guy's name? Rishi from 90 Day Fiance the other way. And that story is explosive, you guys. It's really quite terrible. And if you're ever in a situation like that, just know that I'm here for you. Abby, as an immigration attorney, is here for you. And if you have to leave a situation, we are here for you and we will support you 100%. That being said, Jordan continues to talk to her dad, and she tells him that Mina told her that she can't come to the wedding. But the thing that was so ridiculous to me is that you didn't give the backstory. You didn't give what happened up until that point. But I'm going to tell you this. If I was getting married and I had a future daughter-in-law, is that right?
Stepdaughter.
Stepdaughter. If I had a future stepdaughter that was talking crazy about me, telling me that I couldn't have another child,
Mhm.
saying that I came to America for a green card, that I don't know if you're using my dad for his money and his house and all the things. Yeah, you can keep your butt at home. I don't need that type of negative energy at my wedding as I start a new life. I'm 100% about Mina right now and 0.000% with Jordan. Abby,
Okay, so how could this conversation have been improved? It could have been improved by Jordan saying, I felt slighted because we didn't get to spend very much time together, and I'd love to have some time to get to know you. And Mina saying, oh, that's great. Let's schedule some time. But also, I want you to be aware that timeliness is not really my jam,
Abby,
right?
you're so nice.
I just want to reconstruct the conversation for other people to
You're
improve their lives.
reconstructing with like logic and kindness and empathy, but this bitch is nah. Come on over on this side, Abby, because Jordan is not okay with Mina and Mark having more kids, which my note says SMH. And then she goes to her dad, how can I trust you when I'm telling you I'm seeing all these red flags and you're ignoring them? And when I tell you, oh, you shouldn't have more kids, oh, I don't trust her, oh, she's a gold digger, you go ahead and tell her. And so I can't trust you. So I don't want to even come to the wedding. Again, she's making it about herself, which is very like narcissistic personality as far as I'm concerned. As well as I don't think it's like, hey, let Mina, let's go and do a spa day and really like hash it out. No, she has preconceived notions about who she thinks Mina is. She feels threatened by Mina. She feels threatened that the legacy of whatever is going to be in her dad's will that's going to be passed on to her is being threatened because the more babies there are, the more she has to share. And I have to tell you, that is disgusting behavior for an adult.
It is. I want
Um,
to say one last thing about Mark. I already complained about him not intervening in this in the proper way. He also needs to work on his latent racism. Because
his
why does he?
latent racism.
Mhm. Why does he
He's.
keep telling Mina to calm down when we haven't even seen her raise her voice or act inappropriately in any of these situations?
I mean, we talked about this last episode, right? Him and Jordan both
Right.
are saying a lot of
She
things.
literally very even voiced, well, then I don't want you at my wedding. There was no hysteria there. There was nothing to indicate she needed to calm down. I feel like you did say, I remember you saying it last time, but I feel like this time when I was watching this episode, I was like, why is everybody pretending as though this woman has been screaming like a banshee?
And your response to that was what?
I think it's latent racism. That's what
It
I
is
think it is.
latent racism, and it's also the stereotype of black women having attitudes and being hard to deal with, and all this stuff. Like, Nah.
What she said was very reasonable.
And she didn't do anything that was like outrageous. She just literally expressed, I don't like what you're saying. I don't like how you're trying to control my life. This is my relationship with your dad. And I can understand that you have cares and concerns, but let's talk about it. So for them to be like, Mark to be like, hey, she should calm down or this or that. You guys, as a grown woman who's about to be more grown in a couple of weeks, I'm tired of you guys like having all of these preconceived stereotypes of what Black women are about. And I don't even know where this came from, but I will tell you this. And again, I'm just speaking, so there's no attitude here. I'm just speaking. You guys stop it because you don't do this to anybody else.
I have a funny observation from them, though. I don't know if you've noticed this.
Hi,
But,
Evelyn. Is Evelyn new? I haven't seen that name before.
I don't know, but hello, welcome, Evelyn. Come on in, have some snacks. So my niece who lives in Germany, she has a daughter. And whenever I see her, I am constantly like worried about what the daughter is doing because she just like freely explores her area. And at one point, my niece said to me, you need to cut it out. She's a European child. And I noticed that like in the episodes, Maria's always just like walking around kind of freely and nobody's really paying attention from my perspective to what she's doing. And I hear my niece in my head going, she's a European child.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't even think I've seen in Canada, but Americans love to like control.
Hover.
Yeah, like that whole leash, your kid on a leash thing is wild to me. But I also know that the dangers in America are different, right? They're definitely different than anywhere else in the world. So I also get like that overprotectiveness because there are a lot of situations that you all deal with that no one else in the world deals with. So I get that. Jordan says that he shouldn't get married, which I just thought was not her place. And I was disgusted by that comment. Mark is stressed out because he's like, how can I choose between my daughter and fiance? And that was the question I wanted to have to all of you all. Oh, no, I've been here for years. Okay, Evelyn. Hey, girl. Hey.
Keep talking to us, Evelyn.
Yes. Okay, so my question to you guys is if there was, and Abby, you're first to respond.
Okay.
If there was $2 million American dollars on the line, and you had to choose between your child and your fiance, and there was no takesy backsies, who would you choose?
My child.
Guys, in the comments, let me know who you would choose. Live chat, let me know who you would choose. I don't have a child and I don't have a fiance, but I will tell you this, I would choose my child all day, every day.
Yeah. Lucky for me, I don't have a child who's an asshole.
Even if I had an asshole child, I'd have to choose the child. I mean, that person came out of your bodies. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think.
There are some situations where I could understand a parent not choosing their child.
Evelyn said child. I do too, because you know, Abby, I watch all the true crimes, and there are a lot of asshole childs that you're like, I don't. For example, actually, it's too long of a story, but long story short, there was two people that got together, got married. They both had children, so it was like stepchild. So half brother, or whatever, half sister, whatever. The half brother was a terrible individual. He did some terrible stuff to the half sister. It blew up in his face. The cops got involved. He got arrested, and the mom, who was the full mom of the boy, was shocked and appalled that she created a child that was just so terrible that wrecked the family. But That's your still. But guess what? Her husband left her, but she's like, "That's my child. I love him. I'm gonna have to like mortgage everything I have and come up with this defense." I get it.
I know I'd have a limit somewhere. Linda knows. You guys don't know. After my dad passed away, one of my sisters, my oldest sister, had us in court for years, tied up arguing over his estate. I wouldn't choose her for anything. I would choose if there was a competition where you had to break one of your siblings' legs to get paid money. I would choose her for that.
Thousand Pieces says, "I would not choose an adult child behaving badly." You guys are not wrong.
Yeah.
Jordan goes on to say, if you marry her, maybe she'll leave you, maybe she'll take the baby, maybe she'll take your money, planting all the seeds of doubts in Mark's head. She wants him to, which again, as an immigrant, as a minority, I'm going to tell you that we see and hear all the subtle racist behavior. So when she said that she would rather him not marry her and wants him to marry someone his age and someone from the United States, what do y'all think that means?
It means 8 by 11.
She also doesn't want Mark to have more kids. So I'm just going to leave that there with you guys to marinate on, but she's saying a lot without saying a lot, and Jordan is Jordaning, and I have said from the beginning that she's very problematic, and I find it all interesting because, you know, her fiance, I think husband now, is Black. So you know those kids you're going to have, Jordan? They're going to look exactly like Maria. So are you going to allow people to speak and talk to your future children the way you speak and talk to Maria and Mina?
I mean, probably the number of unfortunate children who are raised in households where their parents are actually racist and stereotypical towards them is very sad.
100%.
And it's very common.
Mina's not impressed. She may go back to Paris. My note says Jordan is terrible, and it's underlined twice. And they leave the beach. That's all I have for Mina, Mark, and Jordan, and Maria. What I will also say, though, you guys, is that words are powerful. Think about what you're saying to people and how you're saying it to them. And side note, y'all, don't forget to like and subscribe. And
yes.
Look at Abby's hair, y'all.
Oh, is it hair time?
This boho braid situation is so inspiring. She's like hottie 2x4. Let us know in the live chat. Give her a shout out, because I told her yesterday, I was like, go ahead, girly.
I'm going to see Beyonce this weekend, y'all. So I got a couple of blonde pieces for Beyonce.
And I told her, blonde's where it's at. Handle your business, girl. Handle your business. All right, moving on to Sean and Aaliyah. Oh, Lord Jesus. I have so many notes about them, so let me try to get through a lot.
I feel so bad for Aaliyah right now.
I do. And Sean, I want to love you because, like, I love everything you've accomplished in your life. I love that you're living the highfalutin Bel Air, Beverly Hills lifestyle. But there are some certain things that are like... But again, Abby, that's where I want your expertise to come into place, because also I feel like I kind of empathize with him a little bit. I mean, if he was like, not metrosexual, if he was heterosexual his whole life, he finally had the courage to come out and say that he was gay, and then he meets someone, they're together for like 4 years, and he knows that person is Douglas, and in the last year or so, Douglas decides that he's Aaliyah and it's going to be a trans woman with all that entails. Where does that leave Sean and the relationship and marriage? And he said without saying, basically, like, I think that if Aaliyah stays the way she is right now without further transition, he will be okay, like, anatomically. But if she makes changes to actually anatomically be a full-fledged woman, he is feeling like he didn't sign up for that. And then I think that that's where the issues are lying, because they have not had that conversation.
Right. They also have an issue that I think is a failure of the immigration process, because there shouldn't be this pressure to get married in this kind of relationship where things are evolving and changing. But because of the limited number of ways that people can immigrate to the United States to stay permanently, they took the option that was available to them. And now they're under this pressure. Otherwise, Aaliyah could come to the United States, they could live together, they could explore what they want to do in a much less constrained fashion.
I'm digesting that. Okay.
Yeah.
I also want 1,000 pieces. I'm not clear about what that means. Sean is proud of his creation, but he doesn't want a relationship with his creation.
I think I know what 1,000 Pieces is saying, because we learned in the first season that they were in that they went to an event where you could do drag.
Yeah.
And Sean encouraged then Douglas to participate, which started the realization in Aaliyah's mind of transitioning. So I think that's what 1,000 Pieces might be referring to.
Gotcha. All right. I'm going to go through some notes here. So Aaliyah's en route to the Americas, and Sean is cleaning his house. This part really cracked me up because, again, it's the immigrant in me. Aaliyah is a licensed nurse in Brazil, which I don't think I remembered that she was. So it's all about cleanliness and germs and germophobia. And I'm not saying I'm a germaphobe, you guys, but there are a lot of things that just gross me out all the time. Like, all the time. Like, walking down the street in America, it's not the same as walking down the street in Canada. Canada is so clean, like you can just walk, your head up held high, and walk. But in America, I'm like constantly looking down because I don't know what I'm stepping towards, and like it's a mess. So I get it. And so him cleaning and saying that that's not like he's not cleanly in his normal state was really just like cringe to me. And then when he talked about the whole shower situation, which you guys know how I feel about that. We talked about Ashton Kutcher and his wife and all of these celebrities that came out and said that they don't shower every day. And you guys already know how I feel about that. It's so weird. But they had the shower conversation. And I will say that my note does say WHT people. Why are y'all like that? Oh my god, I feel like so crazy right now. Anyway,
we went through the history of this. Somebody actually wrote. I know who it was. She's usually in here commenting, but she wasn't here the other day. She wrote a comment on your video like, "This is hilarious how you're going through the history of nasty white people from back in England, like old England days."
Oh, I missed it.
No, you remember. Or maybe you missed the comment, but you remember what I was saying about like, yeah.
Yeah, so I have
really
a neighbor.
Funny.
I have a neighbor, you guys. So this is something that I feel very strongly about, right? I thought it was an African thing, but I'm starting to understand like it's an immigrant thing. Immigrants we're I guess we're all the same. We were raised very similar in that like cleanliness is next to godliness, and you shower in the morning. If you're out and about and you went to the gym, whatever, you're showering at night. No outside clothes. Like I can go on and on and on, but I won't. But I will say something that my neighbor, older lady, beautiful, was a model back in her prime days. She said that because I was saying how I'm so surprised how so many people don't shower every day. And then she's like, well, I don't shower every day. Sometimes I take, and I'm just going to say the W word, W baths. And I was like, what is a W bath? And she's like, oh, well, back in the 60s, street women, like
Oh, I know what you're talking about now.
street sex workers, because
Mhm.
they had to turn their clients over so quickly,
Mhm.
they couldn't have full baths. So they would have W baths, and
Mhm.
W baths were like just your main outlets.
Mhm. If you're
I
from
was
where I'm
like,
from, it's a H bath.
H bath.
Mhm.
Well, no, she said it was a WH bath.
We call it a hoe bath.
Oh,
if you're
she just went full on.
if you're from the part of the
Abby
country
just
that I'm
full
from.
on said the words. Abby just full on said the words.
It's very Mhm. Yeah.
Abby just full on. Okay. So anyways, I had never heard it before. I was just as shocked as Abby saying the words as I was with my neighbor, because my neighbor's like in her 60s. But she explained how like that was her whole lifestyle. Like they did like the swingers and the what is that big concert thing outside that they all went to?
Woodstock.
Woodstock. She was a Woodstock chick, beautiful. Like she's beautiful now, but like seeing her in her prime, I was like, okay, I get it. So her whole like, oh, we just took W baths. I was like, oh. So that being said, Sean is part of the not showering every day and not cleaning every day family. Aaliyah, and here's the other thing. And Abby, you travel a lot. I love to travel as well. So she's going from Brazil to Panama, and it was 8 hours. And then she had a 13-hour layover. I was like, how much was that ticket? Because then after the 13 hours, she still had to travel 10 hours to Los Angeles.
That had to be the cheapest option available because there has got to be a better way. There are flights
Oh,
coming out of Panama to LA all the time. So the fact that you had a 13-hour layover, the only time that I've ever had large layovers like that is because I was being cheap.
yeah. And I was like, you all were being extra, extra cheap, because there is no way that you have 2 layovers in one flight. You're
Hmm.
going from Brazil to the United States, and you're going from, I don't know what city, I can't remember, but from Brazil to Panama, Panama layover, and then Panama to California, and it's taking you like literally 2 days. No, thank you. No, thank you.
Yeah.
You throw in the extra couple $100 and call it a day, because this right here was ridiculous. First time in America. So Aaliyah decides, because she has that beautiful curly hair, that she's gonna get ready and like beauty herself up and
Mhm.
be more girly. We see Sean get to the airport. I didn't know that Maxwell was like a gift. So Maxwell's the dog, you guys, and Maxwell was a gift in lieu of flowers. I did not know that until he said that. Sees Aaliyah at the airport. They hug, they kiss. They're both so happy. One biggie. Oh, Larissa, I miss you. One big happy family. And my note says they look good together.
They do, actually.
They really look good together. They've been together for 4 years, but only one time as Aaliyah. So the relationship is new as far as Sean is concerned.
Hmm.
And Abby, if you feel comfortable, I thought that maybe I could get a little bit of your insight on that in transitioning. And if you know anyone that has been in a relationship as a man, but is now a transgender woman, and what that looks like, and what the partner what questions should people be asking? What questions should partners be asking? And is it okay to have doubts and insecurities about that?
It is absolutely okay to have doubts and insecurities. The biggest thing here is that if you're dealing with someone who's still in the process of becoming, they might not be able to give you all the answers to the questions that you have. You know, somebody who is just starting out on that journey may not be able to commit to you exactly what kind of surgeries that they want to have in the future. And if you're not okay with that, then it's okay for you to bail and let them move on to a relationship with somebody who can do that. I do not know anyone who's been in the situation, but Laverne Cox gave us an example of it when she starred in her role in Orange is the New Black. Her wife was fine at the time with her transitioning, but where they began to have issues was when Laverne wanted to have bottom surgery. Laverne's character, not Laverne in real life. And the wife was begging, please keep it. And Laverne's character was saying, I really want to be fully, what I deem as a woman. I want to have that surgery. And that's when the relationship severed. Up until that point, the wearing women's clothing, the top surgery, all of that was fine. But that's when the relationship ended. And it's okay, guys, as long as you handle it with care and honesty. It's okay to tell someone, I understand that you are in a point of transition right now. I am not going to be able to ride that wave with you. That's with anything. That's with anything. Like, let's say that you get married to someone and you intend that you want to have children together. And then at some point in the first year, second year of the marriage, you realize, I don't actually want to be a parent. It's okay for you to tell that person, I've changed my mind. I actually don't want to be a parent anymore. And it's okay for them to say, okay, well, then I'm going to end this relationship and, search out someone who has the same goals as me. I think that if your goal is just to stay in the relationship no matter what, you're going to cause immense suffering to both parties. You should only have a goal to stay as long as your goals align, as long as your wants and desires align. And at the moment those don't align anymore, it's not a failure to say goodbye to the relationship.
Wisdom. Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing.
But in this time, I can't help but feel bad for Aaliyah because all you're doing is just trying to be yourself and trying to be honest to yourself and try to be true to yourself. And that might risk the relationship that you're in. So I do feel bad, but it's not Sean's fault. It's not Sean's responsibility to just ride that wave. I do have a complaint though.
What's your complaint?
If you already know, like Sean has a little bit expressed, like I already know if Aaliyah goes forward, to a certain degree that I'm not going to want to be together, then I feel like that shouldn't be something that you put off to have a conversation about.
100%. And so, yeah, I get it was your first night and all of that was a long day, but have the conversation. Why are you wasting time? Let's all know exactly where we all stand. I mean, that's me, but y'all know me. I say what I mean, and I mean what I say, whether y'all like it or not. So they're driving through Los Angeles. Sean name drops like Giselle and Leo lived here. Christina Aguilera lived there. And Aaliyah was like, oh my God, that's so cool. From the slums to Beverly Hills. And it is a big deal, you guys, because despite what you heard, California is expensive. And yeah, there are a lot of rich people, but like, it's not easy to be the rich person. You know what I mean? Like, it either comes from family money, trust funds, whatever, Hollywood, whatever. And so it is kind of a big deal. Aaliyah's like journey to the United States and specifically to Los Angeles, because there were a lot of Los Angeles transports that's not their journey. There are people that arrive here and they are staying in hotels and working like 2-3 jobs, trying to make it happen, all of the things. So I just thought that was an interesting like twist on things. And my note literally says, bro meaning Sean is rich.
Yeah.
Because when they pulled up, because Bel Air, you know, like Fresh Prince of Bel Air. Bel Air is like a separate little enclave of Beverly Hills, and it's like the rich, and that's where he lives. And I was surprised that, because you know I'm surprised that they showed the numbers on of his address, because
Hmm.
what they
They're
did.
being like really fast and loose about showing where people live this
Yeah, like
season.
y'all, America is wild.
Yeah, that's
People
not
do
really
like home
safe for
invasions
them.
and all the things. Like production, stop being so loosey goosey with it.
Yeah.
'Cause anyways,
So is Aaliyah the first person that we've seen on 90 Day Fiance actually pull up into like an idealized version of America? Because
100%.
we've had wealthy people on the show before, but they didn't live in places that you like see on TV. I think this is the first
100%.
one that's like you got the real like as seen on TV America.
100%. You're 100% accurate in that. 100%. And if you guys have thought of anyone else, let us know. But this is the only person, and I've watched since day one, that the things that you see on TV is what Aaliyah is actually living out right now. Yeah, so rich. I said bro is rich, but he has this weird eclectic medieval dinosaur home decor that was very I'm not sure, like I'm just not sure. It wasn't.
It's overstimulating.
Yeah. Had a barber room, Barbara Streisand, Bob Mackie share dress. They went to the bedroom. He made a whole new bedroom, new bed. And Sean was like, hey, you want to lay on the bed? And this is where I was like, go ahead, immigrant. He was like, no, I'm totally dirty. And
Mhm.
then my note says equal immigrants. So I would have said Africans, but clearly it's all immigrants. We all are raised the same. Like, no, our outside, excuse me, clothes are not going on our inside beds.
Yeah, he just traveled for like 30 she just traveled for 36 hours.
That, and then the thing that I thought was interesting, and I thought it was like a production slip, but did you see, Abby, how then they put Aaliyah's suitcase on the bed?
No, I did not.
Okay, so
She would not have liked that. Mm-mm.
no, you know how dirty suitcases are, you guys. Don't do that.
Disgusting.
Don't do that.
Disgusting. I
The way
mean,
you
ugh.
listen, I put rat. Listen, just don't do it. Later on in the night, after they like settle in, they're in the backyard. I thought the backyard was super cute. Love the lighting, all the things. Sean wants to just get in his PJs, jump in the bed, and like cuddle. But then they have that conversation, which I think is important, about like STD testing. Aaliyah's like, show me, because Sean's like, yeah, I did all of that. Because what we do find out in the 4 years is that they've had an open relationship, because their relationship has been long distance, and Sean knew that he would not be able to be committed and monogamous since the beginning of their relationship, which I thought was like, you know, that's a really great conversation to have. And I think more people should be open and honest, because your
Mhm.
feelings would not get hurt because you think that you're in something that you're not. And instead of wanting to continue to discuss it, Sean's like, oh, we can discuss it later. It's your first night. But I was like, y'all, just like Abby said yesterday, you all have 90 days to get married. As of today, you still have 90 days. That's 3 months. Let's have the conversation now.
Right. As a matter of fact, the way that Sean is feeling, there's nothing that would have precluded having this conversation a month before Aaliyah arrived.
Yeah,
Like,
because
let's lay all the cards on the table.
Aaliyah's like, hey, I'm here. A day in America. This whole open relationship thing I get, because we were long distance, but it should be over now because I'm here. How much am I supposed to accept? Are you still thinking you're going to be running the streets. I'm here now, and the only reason we had an open relationship is because I wasn't here.
Mhm.
And Aaliyah goes on to say that she didn't sign up to be in a relationship that's open. But Sean goes on to say, well, I didn't sign up to be in a relationship with a woman.
Mhm.
What are your thoughts on
I
that?
don't think those are equal.
Meaning?
Meaning that if there was an understanding that the only reason our relationship is open is because we are long distance, then obviously, if we're no longer long distance, then that relationship is not open anymore.
Yeah.
There's a finite boundary on this open relationship, but there isn't any such thing on somebody's self-discovery.
Because there's so many things to remember. Open relationship, polyamorous relationship, throuple, blah blah. I'm so old school. That's why I personally couldn't be in any of these like new age situations. I can barely deal with one person. And like dating, when you're dating like multiple people to find the one person, that's as much as I can do. All the rest of this is a lot. It's too much for me.
It's a lot of people management.
It's too much. And then throw in their baggage. Stop it.
Mhm.
So they have their night, and next day I thought was hilarious because Leah's like, I'd love to go shopping, but Sean suggests hiking.
My second day hiking.
I saw
However,
a meme.
I think it's really funny though because I remember the first time I came to LA, I was like, we should go hiking at Runyon Canyon because we might run into some celebrities.
I mean, it is like that. Griffith Park is like a big hiking area. There's a lot of trails and all of that stuff. But I remember seeing a meme just a few days ago that was like basically like, if you're looking for me, and they're like hiking. What was it? If you're looking for me, basically it was like if you're looking for me and they're looking on a hiking trail, that won't be me. Facts. I will go hiking occasionally, but you guys, like, if I do go missing, don't look in hiking trails first. Okay, look at airports first. Look at Temu first. Look at any like cute bar and restaurants. Look there first before
Mhm.
you go to the wilderness.
Right.
So they're out there hiking. And I also, do you have animals, Abby?
No, I don't have any pets.
Me neither. And again, y'all know how I feel about cats, so we won't go there. But I do love dogs, but I don't have a dog myself specifically right now because I just don't have the time for it. But I do want to have this conversation a little bit. So they were out hiking, and Maxwell pooped, and Sean, cleaned it up as you should as a responsible owner. And don't get me started, because if I see you not cleaning up after your dog, I will stop you in the streets and comment. That being said, Aaliyah's like, I didn't sign up for this, so that's not something that I'll ever be doing. What are your thoughts on that, Abby?
Yeah, you can't give somebody a pet if you're not willing to take on the responsibilities for caring for it because they didn't agree to that at all. I'm with Aaliyah on that. Team Aaliyah.
Yeah, I'm Team Aaliyah too. Let me know what you guys think. If you got gifted a pet, a dog specifically, are you responsible for cleaning up after them? Let us know. We move on to the married versus non-married conversation, which I think is a hard conversation to have. Sean is kind of aloof about it. He's like, I've been married before. I mean, if I didn't have to get married, I wouldn't. And that is making Aaliyah fearful, which I think she should be fearful because not only has he still been hiding her, right? Because his family doesn't know except for his mom. And now she's there full-time 100%. He's having doubts about her being a trans woman versus being a man. All of that stuff, I would be worried, and I would have some questions.
Yep.
Moving on to Annie, Amani, and Matt, the throuple. You guys, I tried to have a surprise for you guys because, you know, I was trying to have a surprise, but he didn't come through. And I think it's because, Abby, come closer. I think it's because, you know, he wanted me to be part of his family. You know who I'm talking about?
I think so. I think so.
Now you know? Okay, so I reached out to one of my contacts, but I didn't hear back, which I can understand. Because I really do want to understand this whole throuple polyamorous situation. And I think I'll just have to watch the videos that we've done in the past to refresh my memory. Because at the end of the day, I think that there are rules and regulations in that community. Did Matt invite you into the throuple? Oh my God, 1,000 pieces. So I do think that there are rules and regulations that Amani and Matt are not participating in, or maybe they don't know about. Abby, I don't know. Like they seem like brand new.
Well, they did say that they've never had a consistent third before, that they've participated in discrete activities, but never had a relationship that both of them are in with the third person. So yeah, they are new to it.
All right, so they need to explore that more before they add the third person, as far as I'm concerned. So, still,
in this case, I think Amini's just being ridiculous.
Well, I think she has a lot of insecurities, and we're going to get into that. So, it's the next day. There's tensions between all three of them because Annie and Matt were intimate, and Amani literally says that she was jealous over it. Annie feels bad. It's their first fight. She feels like it's super complicated, and she doesn't want the drama. And I feel like I would have been her. I would have been like, hey, you know what? This is a lot of drama. Like, we're all supposed to be together. And again, like Abby explained last time, it's usually like the one person who's the primary that is normally the man, unless you're thinking about seeking brother. I was going to say
brother husband.
Yeah, seeking brother husband, where the woman is the primary. But in most situations in these throuple polyamorous, this is one man and multiple women. Let's just be real. And so the man has multiple relationships with the multiple women that are in this situation. But that's not what Amani wants. Amani wants all three of them to be equally involved all the time. So she was jealous when she found out that Matt and Aunt Annie were intimate without telling her, even though she was participating in the beginning, but then she wasn't feeling well, so she went to bed, and then they continued on their journey. Annie feels bad. They have a fight. Annie doesn't, she hasn't even told her family about them. So I can understand why she's saying, this is complicated. I'm not trying to be in all this drama. Plus, we already know that she's not a sex worker, but she's a dancer. So I'm sure she has multiple situations where she just doesn't want to have to deal with drama. Abby?
Yeah, I nobody asked Amini, at what point were we supposed to ask for your permission? Yeah. We're supposed to wake you up and ask you? Or when she said that nobody told me, were we supposed to, as soon as you woke up in the morning, tell you we're supposed to leave you a note?
Yeah.
I just think that she's being ridiculous in this situation because it's not going to be reasonable going forward. Let's say that this comes true, you guys become a throuple, and Annie actually does get to move to the United States. it's not going to be reasonable going forward that every single time they want to be intimate with each other without you, they're going to call you up while you're at work.
Exactly.
Your schedules are not going, you're not going to be on vacation all the time. Your schedules are not going to always be free all the time. So unless you're saying only on Saturdays do we have sex at night, unless you do something like that, it just doesn't make sense to have that kind of rule. She can't put her, if you want to do this successfully, you can't put your insecurities off for other people to manage.
Agreed. 100% agreed. So, hey, pretty cakes, by the way. That being said, Matt was not prepared for any of this. And I laughed because, I mean, Matt, I don't think you really know what you're getting into. He's like, this is a new relationship. However, Amani and Matt have been together for 10 years. And that's also, too, to me, like, good on Annie, because that would be intimidating to me, because those 10 years, and then you're like the new fresh person in the relationship, you really don't have any standing as far as Amani is concerned. And I feel like that's how she's looking at it. She goes on to say that, you know, they've had old problems that are resurfacing in their new relationship, which is what I continue to tell you guys. That old baggage, you can't bring it forward in a relationship. You just really can't, because you're not giving the new person a fair chance to show you and display who they are as people, because you already have preconceived notions of what you think they are. And that's why Imani was jealous. That's why she feels angry. That's why she feels insecure. But that has nothing to do with Annie.
Mm-mm.
Annie's like, hey, I'm in a relationship with Imani and Matt. Oh, Amani went to bed? Well, like, let's just finish up what we started.
Right. Which in their minds was completely reasonable. I understand why they were like confused and thrown off by it.
Yep.
But you know what? They were being very nice and generous in how they handled Amini or Amani's response. I keep saying her name differently. They were both very nice in that. And so I'm like, you know, these are the two best people for her to be having this feeling with, because somebody else would have been like, I don't understand what the big deal is. I'm not talking about this anymore.
Facts. And it goes back to Amani's insecurities. She fears that she's going to lose Matt. And I want to say, you guys, I don't think she's wrong, because I see that crazy good chemistry between Annie and Matt. They have really good chemistry, like really good. And I don't know if it's because it's that new, right? You've been with someone 10 years and then you bring someone else and like, ooh, it's that new. I don't know if it's that, but whatever it is, it's blatantly obvious to me. Next day they wake up, they have breakfast, it's awkward, they have conversations, whatever. They decide they're going to go on a picnic. I did think that, from just because, you know, you guys, I'm in media, so just from a production perspective, I was like, you know your audience. Your audience is sophisticated. So when the lady Abby was like, oh yes, we usually do these picnics out here in the desert, but we do it for two, but there are three of you.
There was no need for any of that.
Nah. Don't insult our intelligence. Like, don't try to set up the scene, because we've already been along for the ride longer than your 2 seconds on screen, and I was not for it. It offended me and it was ridiculous. I already know there's a throuple. They don't even know they're a real throuple. They're still trying to figure it out. I don't need you to explain it to me for the stupid picnic. That wasn't really even a picnic. It was a blanket, some wine, and I always say this word wrong.
Oh no, what word is it?
I say it wrong all the time. And now
I know what you're gonna say. Charcuterie.
Charcuterie board. That's all.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be one of those those really nice displays that people put out. It was underwhelming.
Bro, no, it wasn't that. Some grapes, some cheese and crackers. No, thank you. Anyways, so they have this picnic and they're watching the sunset, and they have wine, they have their board, and they realize that for their throuple polyamorous relationship. They have no guidelines, so they want to set some rules. And here are some of the rules that they decided that were okay. They can fight all night, but they're not going to go to sleep angry. And everyone gets a chance to talk. Matt feels like that hasn't been his situation, so he's really digging down on let me talk after y'all do whatever y'all doing. Everyone's allowed to have sex without the other person's permission, except for Matt and Annie. So Matt and Annie have to get permission from Amani because she felt disrespected and jealous in the situation. But Annie and Matt don't care if she has sex with any of them. Matt doesn't, he doesn't want permission. He says, go and enjoy yourself. And I thought those rules sound ridiculous. It doesn't us all on the same page at all.
Only Annie made a rule. Well, no, Annie and the guy both made rules concerning communication.
Mm-hmm.
They made rules to advance the relationship. Amini made a rule to suppress the relationship.
Facts. Moving on to Marty and Steve. I feel like this was like a little bit of filler stuff. So we'll get through this quickly. He went to the barber in Timbuktu. He gets in the car. The mustache was an issue. He wants to go home before they go for coffee. He didn't get what he wanted. They cut the mustache shorter than he thought it should be. And what he wasn't used to was when he usually goes to the barber, he's in front of a mirror, but that's not what they do wherever they are. And then they went to the house, and Stevie's like, well, I can help fix it. And Abby, she brought out a felt marker.
Yeah, she said she was going to use some makeup.
Yeah.
And then she went and brought out a marker, so that was a
felt
little
marker. You guys, most of you guys know, I got micro blading on my eyebrows, right? Because I was obsessed with eyebrows, and I don't have a lot of hair. Like, that's who I am as a person, and I loved it, right? And see how like they look super cute, but it's because I got this new. It's like a you paint on your eyebrow,
Henna?
and then. No, yeah, kind of, and it peels off and it leaves like a black stain. So now I do like once a week and it keeps it, right? So that makes sense to me. But what I'm not about to do is put a felt pen anywhere on my face. And she said she had makeup, so I thought she had something like I had like the liquid whatever makeup, but she had like literally a felt pen that you write on the markers you write on paper and poster board with.
Yeah. And for me, it was such a subtle difference. I know it's his face, so he knows what he wants it to look like. But for me, it was such a subtle difference. It didn't make that big of a deal.
But you also put marker on your face.
But like, you don't need marker on your face. It was not that big of a deal.
You're about to break out. That's all I know. Go to the coffee shop. They order mochas and lattes, and that was like made to be a big thing. Like, oh, I'm gonna get a vanilla, blah blah blah. I want an espresso with chocolate. What is that called? It's a mocha. You like, I know you know better. And then they start talking about the night before with Wendy, which is her dad's girlfriend, and how she meaning Stevie, was having some insecurities about Marty saying that he wants to go back home. He feels a little bit of homesickness and he misses his parents, and he may want to go back and be with them because he wants to see his family. And she was like, basically, if you go back, you might not be able to go back, and that means that you've left me, and I'm concerned that you still have all those feelings. You're going to continue to have those feelings, and are you going to leave me? Because if you're going to leave me, and then I find out that you leave me, but you're going to quote unquote stay in America, then I don't want to go through with this. Abby, there's a lot to unpack there. Like, I feel like he should be allowed to feel homesick. He should be allowed to feel like he wants to go home and see his family. And if he gets stuck there, that's not his fault. But she's saying, don't do it, or else you are leaving me and we're not even doing this.
Yeah. She didn't even let him fully flesh out his feelings, because I think that what he ultimately was saying is that he thought he would like it so much that even if their relationship didn't last, that he would like it enough to stay. But now he's not feeling that way anymore. He's not feeling like he's comfortable, that he's at a home that he thought that he would feel, that feeling he thought he would feel when he came to the US. It's not happening. He's still just incredibly homesick.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't let him finish saying that. She turned it immediately into, you would stay here even if we weren't together. Where's that thought come from? It comes from the fact that he just moved his entire life to a country that is not particularly accepted in his home country. That's where it comes from. It's like not that hard to understand. Throughout this entire conversation, I was like, she is shutting down his ability to be honest with her in the future about his feelings.
And that's basically what he said in a nutshell. Yep.
And he should be. And those are things you should expect. If you are dating someone who is traveling for the very first time outside of their country and they're coming to the United States, you are not going to fulfill every one of their needs. They're going to be homesick sometimes. Also, I think the thing that a lot of Americans don't understand is every immigrant doesn't actually want to be in the United States permanently. I work with so many people who would love to go back to their home countries. They would absolutely love, they miss the smell of their neighborhoods. They miss the sounds that they're used to. They miss the restaurants, their friends. They miss knowing how to get everywhere, right? They're only here because of a circumstance that occurred, whether it's now they're applying for asylum or they're in school. Everyone does not think of this place as being desirable, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. But you can't get mad at somebody you shouldn't get mad, I guess you can, but you shouldn't get mad for somebody who's just feeling homesick and not have some kind of empathy or understanding, because all she had to do was say, they're in an area where they can find an Iranian restaurant. They can find a Persian restaurant. Let's find a network for you, a community for you. The other thing is, I think that Americans don't understand how exhausting it is to speak English all the time. So he's got no reprieve from constantly having to translate everything in his head all the time. And now you want to have a serious conversation where you're shutting down his opinions and feelings, and he doesn't even get to say it in his first language. So I'm off my soapbox now.
No. Preach, girl, preach. That's it. That's it. I don't even have anything else to add to that. So we're going to move on to Joan and Greg, which I literally was watching this, you guys, and had to text Abby because, Greg is my least favorite person. 87 years wed. They decide they're going to go to the boardwalk in New Jersey. Jones is glad to be out of the house and to get away from Lucille, his mom, so that they can have some alone time. My note says, ugh. Going to the South Bay. If you're from California, the South Bay and New Jersey, South Bay are totally different things, but that's where they're going. And they brought the dogs. The first time that Joan is walking a dog, which I took a little bit of issue with, because just the implications as an African just sounds crazy to me.
Was she just saying she's never had a pet? Is that what she was saying?
Well, no, she has a pet. Remember, she has a dog, but the dog is an outside dog that she just lives outside by itself. But the implications of her never walking a dog in Africa, and this is her first time on the leash, and friggin' America. It was just feeding into such a stupid stereotype that I just was like, am I going to go off like I normally, or am I going to let it go? And I'm going to let it go, you guys. Believe it if you want to believe it, that's the first time she's, quote, walking a dog. Believe it if you want. She's walking a dog in the South Bay in New Jersey for the first time. believe that if you want to believe it. Second night there, she's a bit nervous. They haven't been intimate because you know that he lives at home as a 35-year-old grown ass man. And you know, Joan feels a little uncomfortable, which I don't blame her because her fiance is
A loser.
a loser.
A loser.
And she wants to know when they're gonna have their own house. And when he said a year and a half to 2 years, y'all,
Which is not even realistic for him.
no job, 35-year-old living at home, making bread that he gives for free to his neighbors, thinks that he's gonna save up enough money in New Jersey to buy a home. And his logic is he doesn't want to rent because he wants to save that extra money so that he can put a down payment on a home. And
Which he
doesn't
has
have a
never
job.
done.
Right. He hasn't. He's
Never done that. So, okay. So I do have a little bit of a criticism for Joan, though.
Okay, can I just say that that's really crazy because
That is really crazy.
Okay,
Yeah,
go
that
ahead.
was. And I was under the impression that perhaps she was not aware of his financial situation, that maybe he had exaggerated or whatever. That is not what happened. Joan instead was just operating off of some assumptions she had about what Americans do or live like. I thought Americans were stable. I thought Americans were this. So unfortunately, these assumptions have put her into a position where even if he was telling her certain things, I don't have a job, I live with my mom, she was not accepting those things at face value.
I agree with you to an extent. I think that it's a little bit of that, but it's also a little bit she didn't really know. So oftentimes, and I've said this often, that people abroad, they only see what they see on TV about America, and they think that all Americans are wealthy, they have homes, the 2.5 children, the picket fence, the dog, and all of that stuff, right? Which is definitely not the case for the majority of Americans. So that is something that, especially people abroad and in third world nations, where they see family living in the West and they want this, they want an iPod, they want a MacBook, they want you to send them $1,000, they want new Nikes, they want etc., whatever it is. They want all this stuff and they think like it's peanuts to you because they think you're rich because you live in the West. That is a stereotype that consistently goes on since birth, for me at least. But that's not how Americans live. So when people abroad come to America and they see, wow, there are people struggling, there are homeless people, there are like Shekna and Sarper in her apartment that's 0.0 square feet, and it's not a huge mansion. That's the reality for a lot of people. A lot of people are living paycheck to paycheck. So that all being said, I do agree with you. However, he didn't tell her about his debt. And I posted something recently on my Instagram where this guy was marrying this woman and she hid for 2 years that she had $95,000 worth of like credit card debt. And he wanted her to sign a prenup because he's like, I'm not taking on this debt. And she said no. So he canceled the wedding day of. And so that was the whole conversation. But like, and they had been together for 4 years. So like, how do you keep almost $100,000 of debt from your partner? Like, I get that. I get like, no, I'm not taking that on. So that all being said, I agree with you, Abby. However, what I think is crazy is that he's like, I don't want to waste money on apartments. I want to save money and then get a place and have a mortgage. But he has a car. He has car debt issues. He has debt, general debt. He has visa debt. He has flight debt. He's claiming $8,000 with the debt, but the way he was so general with what debt he has, that I think that 8,000 is way more than it probably
It's
is.
probably a lot more. I think
Yeah.
the statistic is like the average American has around $50,000 in debt. I think that's the stat. I have almost $200,000 in debt between student loans and credit, and that's really normal
Yeah.
for us. That's really normal.
So that's why I was like, oh, I get what you're saying, but I also think that, yes, did she think that he had more means than he did? Yes, but she also didn't know about his debt because I don't think he talked about it. So she wants to know how we're going to pay for our wedding. And he was like, well, it's all going to be up to me, he says. And then when he said we can cook our own food, us and our mom, I was like,
And I was like, and serve it too? At this point, what this means to me is that y'all need to go to the courthouse. That's what this means to me. Y'all need to go to the courthouse and then go eat at the Village Inn. I don't know if they have a Village Inn. I just made that up.
listen, we have a village in Vancouver, and it's popping. Oriana, I just talked about the Village Inn. If you're watching this, oh my God, that's so funny. Can I just tell you guys something super funny? We went to the Village Inn
Yes.
and it was like our last stop of the night. And we all grew up in that area, Champlain Heights, and it's like a super, super dive bar. I don't know if you guys know what pull tabs are, but they had pull tabs. They only had like a few beers on tap. They had karaoke. It was like a hot mess, but we loved it. And one guy had like a mullet, and he decided that like I was his bestie, and he wanted to like get with me. It was like a whole crazy situation. And the sign, and I need you guys to see this because I haven't posted because it's so outrageous. But the sign when you walk in, and the Village Pub, it's a bar, a dive bar at that, said, oh my God, it's so crazy. Where is it? Here. I hope you guys can see this. Minors are welcome from opening till 8 p.m. And do you see where it says Village Pub so that I'm not kidding you guys? You see it?
Yes.
Hello, Canada.
Joslo, when you get to this part of the rewatch, I just want you to know that I said Village Inn like a real Canadian.
And it's a pub, but it's a real place, and minors are welcome. So how are they going to pay for the wedding? No one knows. He says, he meaning Greg, says that he has some job interviews lined up. They're getting ready to hang out with John and John. What we find out, which is a true story, you guys. I don't know what the GMOs or all the things, but America's food is just different than everywhere in the world. I don't know what it is, but that's why there's an obesity problem, because none of it's real.
I think it's that. Plus, I don't think we have as much opportunities in our days for exercise. Like whenever I'm out of the country, the communities tend to be more walkable. So you get more exercise as a regular part of your day than here, where like some of the sidewalks here are treacherous.
Is that what it is?
I think that's a part of it.
I think go ahead.
The food is definitely part of it. We do have more chemicals in our food, but I also think that it's just, even if I wanted, like I live in DC now, which is way more walkable, but when I was in Georgia, even if I wanted to walk from my apartment to the store, sometimes the sidewalk would just end. And like, it's not made for me to be able to walk that far. I one time tried to walk to the library, 2 cars pulled up and asked me if I was okay, because it's just not normal to just be walking around, as opposed to when I've lived outside of the United States or visited other countries. It's made for you to walk around and have more community. You have plazas, you have community centers where people just go to hang out and enjoy each other's company. That's just not as common here.
Okay. I think it's the food. I think the food is terrible. I think that the food, there are a lot of things here in the United States that are not available anywhere else.
Yeah.
And it's scary. Like
Yeah.
I read last week, like chicken nuggets at this very specific restaurant, the way that they bind that chicken nuggets, it's the same. It's like it begins with the M. Blah, blah, blah. It's the same blah, material that they use to mix concrete.
I believe that. I mean,
Scary. There's
just
that red dye that they're
the red
finding that is nowhere else in
there's
the
a lot
world.
more sugar. I mean, you just go to eat fast food in another country, you could taste the difference so easily because the food that they serve in the same chain of restaurants will just be healthier outside of the United States.
I'm just saying, it's y'all need to start paying attention to what you're putting into your mouth. It's scary for you guys. I'm scared for you guys. Anyways, so they go to meet John and John. John, one, he's known for 20 plus years, and apparently John is a common name in
Jersey.
Jersey.
And where are they? No, they're in Long Island, right?
Yeah. Found out that Greg was the prom king of his high school. I was shocked because apparently he was super popular and funny. And I think maybe just because I have an aversion to him that I just find that hard.
You don't see the personality.
Nah, Abby, not at all. And even his friend, John, who's known him since high school, is not surprised, but he comments that, hey, you still live at home and you're 35 years old. And grills him from there. Like, what do you want to do with your life? What's happening with you and Joan? And how long, Joan, do you want to live at the house? Joan says 3 months. So what are you going to do to make that happen, Greg? Greg's like, he wants to open a bakery. And then John's like, or should you spend that money on housing? You're not a trust fund hipster. Maybe you should probably get a real job. He just laid in on Greg, and I wasn't mad at him because Greg needs to heal the realities because he doesn't work, he can't provide, and he lives at home. His mom cooks for him, you guys. His mom cleans his room. His mom does his laundry, and now he brought a whole fiance to the country.
Mm-hmm.
And is talking crazy to her because he's a lazy 2x4. Like, no. And then the part, Abby, that threw me over the top is when John, that he's known for years, like, so what else do you guys want to do? And when Greg said he wanted to have 10 kids.
With what money?
Joan's like, no, I'm good at 2. And then Greg's like, oh, okay, we can settle at 4. You can't.
People say things like this, and I'm like, they're gonna make me support eugenics.
You don't work.
You don't work. You have no savings.
And you
have no plan. But you want to have a whole bunch of kids. Like, do you enjoy being poor?
He does. He does, in my opinion. The other thing I found out in this whole little episode was that, not only was Joan, educated, has a degree, had like a great job, she owns land in Uganda, came to the Americans, America has nothing here, looking at her fiance side eyes. His friend John says that Greg needs to get a job. He's had multiple opportunities, but he hasn't taken any of them because he doesn't want to have a standard job. And that was really the end of it for me. That tells me everything I need to know about Greg.
Those Johns, the way that they came at him was like the producer said, ready, set, and turn the camera on and go. Like they've been waiting to get in his about all of that stuff. 100%. And good for them holding their friend accountable as opposed to being like, oh, we don't know if Joan's a good gold digger. We don't know why Joan's here. Maybe she wants a green card. Like, good for them going after their friend for his failures.
And just for the record, y'all, you have to have gold for a woman to be a gold digger.
You do.
And on that note, you guys, thank you so much for catching up with us. We will be back next week. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And we love y'all. We just really appreciate y'all being here.
We do. So much fun. Evelyn, come back again and talk more.
Right, so that we know that you've been here for years.
Yes.
Been around the way, and
I can't find my Evelyn.
And I don't know why.
Why she's gone away.
That's it. That's all I got.
I don't know where she can be.
My baby.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.